Hello guys, welcome to Gustav's programming tutorials, where we learn everything in programming. In today's lesson, we will be looking at the for loop statement in Java. If this is your first time here, please hit the subscribe button and notification icon to get notified for more programming videos from this channel. So, the for loop, what exactly is it? The for loop is a loop that is good to use when a definite number of loop iterations is required. In our while tutorial, that is tutorial number 9, we looked at the concept of counter-controlled loop. If you haven't watched that video, click the small eye icon in the right corner of the video, or click on the link in the description below to watch it. Now, as I was saying, in that tutorial, we saw the use of the while loop to implement the concept of counter-control loop. Java provides the for loop as a more concise and shorthand notation to implement the counter-control loop in a single line of code. To use a for loop, you begin the loop with the keyword for, followed by a set of parentheses. Within the parentheses are 3 parts, separated by 2 semicolons. The first part is an initialization of the loop control variable, followed by the first semicolon. The second part is testing the loop control variable, and the second semicolon comes in. The third and final part is incrementing the loop control variable. The body of the for loop statement follows the parentheses, and as with an if statement or while loop, you can use a single statement as the body, or you can use a block of statements enclosed in curly braces. Now, like I said before, the for loop is an equivalent of a while loop. So let's compare them to see if this is true. So if we look at a typical for loop, we see that we have everything the while loop has. The only difference is that they are written and positioned differently. Let's take a look at how the for loop works. So, as always, we will take an example program to explain this. Now, suppose we want to display the squares of numbers from 1 to 20. Let's declare our variable n. So, int n, semicolon. Let's first display the headings for the number and its square. So, our output statement, num /t /t squares, semicolon. We use the double /t to add 2 tab spaces between number and squares. Now, the for loop, we type for within the parentheses n equals 1, semicolon, n less or equal to 20, semicolon, n plus plus. Now we type our curly braces, and then inside the curly braces, our output statement /t and plus n plus 3/t's n plus, in parentheses, n times n. Now outside our for loop, we add another output statement. We type n is now plus n. Now let's run the program. In our output, we get the squares of the numbers from 1 to 20. Within the parentheses of our for statement, the first section initializes n to 1. The program executes this statement once, no matter how many times the body of the for loop executes. After initialization, the program control passes to the middle or test section. N is compared to 2 to determine whether n is less than 20. So, n initially set to 1 is less than 20. So the output statement executes. After the loop body executes, the third section executes and n is increased to 2. And program control returns to the second section, where n is compared to 20 a second time. Because n is less than 20, the loop body executes and third section executes again. This process keeps on going until n is eventually less or equal to 20. When this happens, the for loop ends and the program continues with any statement that follows the for loop. In this case, the statement n is now 21. Now, with the first section, let's look at a concept in programming we call scope of a variable. The scope of a variable defines where it can be used in a program. In the first section, we could see that we initialized the declared loop control variable n. So, with the definition of the scope of a variable, this variable n can be used anywhere in the main method, and so can be used in the for loop as well. So, if we were to comment the int n declaration and then declare it in the for loop, the scope of the variable is now the for loop block. We can see that even IntelliJ is showing us an error, telling us cannot resolve variable n. Let's go ahead and run the program. We get an error message also telling us that cannot find symbol, and that symbol is the variable n. So our output statement, which displays the value of n, will not execute. So let's comment that statement and then run the program. And we get the correct output. So our point has been proven. In the second section of the for loop is the loop control test. This section plays a great part in ensuring your program runs correctly. If you incorrectly specify the loop control test as the condition, or more specifically, if you use an incorrect relational operator, we get a logic error. So, in our example code, we wanted to display the squares of numbers from 1 to 20 inclusive. We used the less or equal operator to avoid a common logic error we call an off by 1 error. So suppose we change the less or equal to operator to the less than operator and then run the program. In our output, we get the squares, but as we can see, it only ends at 19. Now, to the user, the program runs perfectly, but the problem is it did not end at 20. And since this is not a syntax error, it might be difficult for the user to find the error. Now to our third and final section of the for loop is the increment expression. The increment expression can be written in many different ways. Some of these are using the post and pre-increment operators, the post and pre-decrement operators, and then increasing or decreasing by 1 or any number. So, in our code, let's increase our variable by 2. So we change n++ to n plus or equals 2. And now let's run the program. In the output window, we get the squares of the numbers displayed and can see that there is an increase of 2 in the numbers. Okay guys, this brings us to the end of today's lesson. Thank you for watching this video and I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one.